Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you doing? How is day 3 of your fast? Where are you and how are you feeling? I had a bit of a wobbly one today. I'm sorry about the background, by the way. I know it's not the most interesting. It's the dreaded magnolia colour. But I've been moved from the living room. Not moved. My husband, he said, oh, yeah, I'm blaming you. Bless you, he's coming in. So I've kind of moved myself from the living room to here because it meant that we couldn't really pray Tarawih very easily. So you're going to have to put up with this and my nice blue stripes. So I hope you're doing well, inshallah. Tell everybody that this is happening right now. In a few minutes, we're going to be speaking to Abdur Raheem Green, inshallah, which I'm really excited about because brother is one of the signposts, I'd say, to my journey to Islam. I actually went into his office and had a meeting with he and Yusuf Chambers many years ago. And he didn't recognize me after I came to Islam because the change was so much, subhanallah. So I wasn't going to be on social media during Ramadan at all. But the only reason I'm here is because I realized that you can't do a good job for other people unless you're communicating with as wide a number as possible. And looking in my cupboard this week, I've had a couple of moments when I've had a shock. So like tonight, looked in the fridge, there's hardly enough milk for tea. I know, first world problems, but at the end of the day, I'm English and not having enough milk for tea is actually traumatic. I'm hoping Abdur Raheem Green will vouch for me here. And also we're not used to seeing the back of our cupboards, right? I was cleaning out a sister's cupboard and she had years of old rice in there and lentils and the stuff we don't use. So then I got sent an email about what Syrian refugees are going through and just that realization of what does it mean going from meal to meal? What would it mean to have a pack of items for a whole month to say, I know that my family of 6 is going to eat for this whole month, that you actually have this bulk gift of food from Allah Ta'ala helped by the Ummah that you can have as a resource. And so that's why I'm here. I'm here for Watan UK, and we're going to be posting during our conversation a link where you can, inshallah ta'ala, provide for a family of 6 during the whole of Ramadan. And these are hygiene kits and food kits, but I'll telling you more about those later. So take a look at the link. So yeah, a tough day for me today. I'm going to bring in my guest now, alhamdulillah, Abdur Raheem Green. He is the chairman of IERA, and you'll know him as a world-famous da'i, someone who wants everyone to at least have some knowledge about Islam, to know about Allah Ta'ala. Welcome, brother. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi.
And we find you in the loft, I believe. Why is that? Have you been sent out from the family hub?
Well, it's the only place I can pretty much half guarantee I'm going to get undisturbed. So yeah, and it's reasonably tidy. So it's the combination of trying to find somewhere where I can get some peace and quiet, and it doesn't look too messy in the background. There are other rooms, but I don't think I want my camera to be, you know.
How many people in your household right now?
Well, we have 7 of us at the moment.
Several or 7?
7, yes.
7. Mashallah.
Yes,
so can we have a who are these wonderful
well, me and my
crowd?
wife and the 3 girls and the 2 boys. So 3 of the girls and 2 boys. There's another boy's out in London. 2 of the girls are in Milton Keynes. Another daughter in London. So yeah.
So you're really going for the Yaqub thing of the tribe of Israel, haven't you? You've really gone for it. Or a football team. Were you going for a football team?
Well, yes, it is actually. I think I have got 13. So 12 tribes, isn't it? So yeah, with 1 extra.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. So everybody, we want your comments and questions today, especially for Abdur Raheem Green. And brother, you're going to be talking about it's about Ramadan not being an endurance race. I was describing to you, and I'll tell everybody here that, I had a bit of a tantrum with my nafs yesterday, which is good. There's nothing wrong with this. What I want to say is day 2 of Ramadan, your nafs are going to go, I want to eat now, and I'm just, I'm not feeling it. And I really felt like a giant toddler having a big tantrum. And even Tarawih, I didn't feel spiritual. I just felt grumpy at my husband for dragging it out. And what we tend to do then is, we can say to ourselves, what's wrong with me? Why am I not getting this Ramadan buzz? What do you think about it when we couch it in those terms?
Yeah. I think, Lauren, the thing is that one of the things to understand, I think, for everybody is that there are lots of different ways to come close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I try to be a little bit open-minded. So, one of the things that a lot of people say, and even since I've been Muslim, a lot of shaykh, have been saying, oh, Ramadan is not about eating. Ramadan is not like, in many Muslim countries, people eat more in Ramadan than they do any other time of the year, and they have special foods, right? And I remember this from when I was, my parents were living in Egypt, so I used to go there, and often when I was there for Ramadan, and the sort of spread of food, different types of food that you never saw any other time of the year. So people really go out, go all for it for Ramadan. And I can understand sort of the criticism is that, wait a minute, you're forgetting what Ramadan is about. But on the other hand, the whole other, I look at things from different ways. You see, having gratitude is also an act of worship. So, for example, the one who is grateful for eating food has the same reward as a person who fasts. This is what the Prophet said. So if you show real gratitude when you eat, it's as rewardable as fasting. I'm not saying that this is distinct from the obligation of fasting. Fasting is something you have to do, whether you like it or you don't like it, right? So this is something Allah has ordered, something Allah has prescribed. But I just want to, think about the whole thing of gratitude, right? So if you are enjoying all these beautiful different foods and you're really genuinely grateful for it, this is also an act of worship, right? Another thing is that I really want, unfortunately what can happen to us is our Ramadan can become very ritualistic, right? And it's what I call the sort of South Sea Island cults. Right.
Okay, let's hear about this.
Yeah, well, the South Sea is so fascinating. So basically, there are these islands in the South Pacific, and during the wars, during the Second World War specifically in the Pacific, during the Second World War, basically both the Japanese and the Americans used these islands as staging posts for their armies. So they would fly in. So they built airstrips on these islands. They would fly in all these supplies, and basically these islanders who had been cut off from the world for hundreds of years suddenly were eating chocolate and corned beef and experiencing things that they had never experienced before. And then just as suddenly as all of this had come, it disappeared, because when the war ended, the airstrips were empty, no more airplanes. And they started becoming dilapidated. So what these South Sea Islanders did was something remarkable. They started building control towers. They started building control towers out of woods. They started making, like models of jeeps and trucks, and they actually started building runways. Why? So think about this. Why did they do this? What did they think? It's like, science is always reminding us that that correlation doesn't mean causality. So this is a classic example of between correlation with causality. So they correlated the existence of airstrips and control towers and cars with the arrival of all of these things. In their minds, they thought it was the cause. So if they thought, if we build airstrips and we build control towers and we build these things, then the airplanes will come and the supplies will come, right? You can't, in a way, you can't blame them in some ways, right? It's just a type of misunderstanding, right? Of what caused what brought about that cause. And it became a religion. It actually turned into a whole religion. And what I think this is what happens with religion, right? We get confused. We confuse correlation with causality. we forget that what is the spirit, what is the real intent of religion, what is religion supposed to do. So we will spend millions and millions of people building these edifices, these fantastic mosques, in Istanbul, these fantastic mosques all over the world. Our rulers who can build the fanciest, the biggest mosque. But religion is not about building beautiful buildings. It's about changing yourself, right? It's about how you change internally. It's about how we change ourselves, how we behave with each other as human beings. It's about our personal connection with God, right? This is what religion is really about. But you know what? It's so much easier, Lauren, to build a beautiful building. It's so much easier to paint a beautiful Quran and put some calligraphy on the wall, right? It's so much easier to go. It's so much more easier, Lauren, to go through the ritual of praying 20 rak'ah or 8 rak'ah, standing there, and yeah, I'm doing it. You know, I'm doing this taraweh. But if your mind is not there and your heart is not there, you're not doing taraweh. You're not connecting with Allah. If you're standing there all grumpy, what's that for? That's not what religion is about, right? And there's lots of other ways you can connect to Allah. You could say, okay, I'm not with this today. I'm going to go and read the Quran. I'm going to contemplate. Maybe I'll just take one verse of Quran and I'll spend the whole night thinking about that one verse, right? Subhanallah. And you will get much more benefit from that act of worship than that. So we don't always need to be prescriptive. We don't always need to be prescriptive. Yes, when it comes to the obligations, absolutely, we have no choice, right? But there are other things that we have choice about. And yes, you know, the taraweh is very blessed. It's a very beautiful and blessed thing. It has so many rewards and benefits. But at the end of the day, Lauren, you've got to know yourself. You've got to be honest with yourself. Don't be fooled by just falling into these patterns of behavior and thinking that just by going through the motions, because you might as well, you know, you've seen it in many mosques, though, right? The speed at which they pray and the speed at which they recite Quran, it's so fast. You might as well be doing aerobics. You have no time to concentrate on Allah. You have no khushu', but you have no awe. You have no reverence in front of Allah. What's the point of that? I don't understand. What it is just going through the rituals, right? It's the South Sea Island cult version, right?
That is fascinating.
And there's a lot of that, Lauren. There's a lot of that.
Yeah, I think you've caught me there. I think for the first time, because I've been Muslim 10 years, I think that was really yesterday was the first time I've just felt just do it for the sake of doing it because other people do it and it's a thing that you do. And so what I decided was, because it was so unspiritual yesterday, that tonight I'm going to do a little bit of Taraweeh because it's nice to stand behind my husband, alhamdulillah. And then I'm going to go away and I'm going to do charity. Because what really, really makes me feel connected to Allah Ta'ala is to be helping other people, is to go, right, you know what, that family, they've got a tent. And you know what, and asking Allah to provide that. And that, especially in Ramadan, for me, that, you know, it lights me up. That's when the tears come.
Let me tell you something, Lauren. Let me tell you something. This is probably the first Ramadan in maybe 10, 15 years that I am actually probably going to fast the whole Ramadan. And the reason why I haven't is because nearly every single Ramadan I've been traveling. In fact, probably in the last 10 years, I've only fasted 15 days because I've been traveling the other 15 days. And what was I traveling to do? I was traveling to go to live appeals, to do charity appeals. And like all the shaykhs would say, you know what? Yes, you're missing Taraweh. Yes, maybe you're missing Laylatul Qadr. But inshallah, what you're doing here, by helping the poor and the needy, and it's even more rewardable, inshallah, because the Taraweh is for you. The Taraweh is for you. But this, what you're doing, is for others and for the benefit of others, right? So, you know, subhanAllah. So, see, the thing is, you know, don't be prescriptive for them. Everyone is going to get there. You know, Khalid bin Walid, he was the sword of Allah. He wasn't, you know, as far as we know, a great worshipper, doing lots and lots of extra prayers and lots of extra fasts, right? But he had an amazing quality. You know, Abdullah ibn Umar, you know, the son of Umar ibn al-Khattab, you know, he was known for being, subhanAllah, following the sunnah so strictly, doing a lot of extra prayers, a lot of extra ibadah. So look, Lauren, everyone has something that Allah has blessed them with, through which they can come close to Him, and that's fine. Not
MashaAllah. And you know what?
everybody.
Sorry, I'm going to jump in here, and I really feel like thank you. You're really kind of schooling me in a really positive way, and it's a great reminder because everybody who's on this timeline right now, we'll start asking some questions in a minute because I'm sure you want to speak to Abdur Raheem Green as well and get some of his really great insights. But it's this thing that Islam is so wide that you don't have to specialize in everything. And I don't know about you, but I've noticed this Ramadan in particular, there are a lot of really great coaches out there, a lot of people who have embraced this idea of being a productive Muslim and be productive in Ramadan. And I've got my diary and it helped me. But I think the negative side when we misread that is we make Ramadan and Islam an ing. We make it a doing thing. So you've got to be doing something all the time. And that takes away the reflectiveness and the fact that, you know what, I might not be very good at Tarawih. I might not be good at kashu after 11 o'clock at night when I'm tired and hungry. Yeah. But boy, I love to motivate people to help others. And I ask Allah, and that's when I feel close to Allah. That's when I cry to Allah. And so for you, sitting at home right now, if you're on Facebook and you're watching this, what is your thing? Because Allah has given you a connection. Are you fluent in Arabic and your tajweed is amazing and that takes you to closeness? Then you've been gifted with that. Abdur Raheem Green, what is it that brings you, brings you close to Allah Ta'ala that is beyond the doings?
Well, that's a really, I think, I actually enjoy different things. So that's a tough question. I mean, having said what I said to you, myself, I have a sort of general philosophy in life. Like, if there's something I don't like, I'll force myself to do it because I don't like not liking things that I should like, if you know what I mean. It's like, if there's things I'm afraid of and I shouldn't be afraid of it, I'm going to do my best to overcome that fear, because it's just, for me, it's like, why would you be afraid of something that there is no reason to be afraid of, right? Why would I not like something that you should get pleasure from? So it's almost like I like pushing my comfort zone. So for me, I probably, I might force myself to do things that I don't necessarily enjoy just because I don't enjoy it. And I like pushing my boundaries a little bit, right? But generally, I don't know, it's a bit difficult because I think, definitely in the past, I would say that my real buzz, I get this real buzz from going out and helping raise money for good causes, especially for dawah, especially for, giving dawah, even in Ramadan. I would, even traveling, I wouldn't let Ramadan stop me traveling to different countries, giving talks and lectures. But I guess that I've reached the stage now where I do really enjoy that sort of quiet time. I do really enjoy that contemplation and trying to build my khushu' in my salah, and thinking deeply on the verses of the Quran, and dealing with my ego, which is a big thing for everybody, I guess, that never stops, does it? That battle within yourself. So I think for me, I guess very much, my struggles are very much internal ones. So it's all about the jihad of nafs, I think those are some of the things, really. I think Ramadan for me, I think what is special about Ramadan is the month of the Quran. So I do try to make sure that in Ramadan I make a more deep and a more special connection with the book of Allah. And that's something definitely I would encourage everybody to do, is, really to try and connect with the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But again, you don't want to go so overboard that you sort of get tired and you get exhausted and you get fed up. You don't want to be like that, right? It's all about finding balance, though. That's what it is. Find the balance. That's what you need to do. So everyone's different. Even cooking and preparing something nice for the family, for the kids, you want your kids to enjoy Ramadan. You want to make it special for them. right? So, you know, like you've got special food, like this is what I find in my house. We have some special food that normally you don't have, or you have very little of in the house. But in Ramadan, you bring it. And so even the little kids, even the 7-year-olds getting up saying, I want to fast, you know? Why? Because possibly part of that, you know, and yeah, okay, he's a little bit tempted by the nice foods, right? So what? You know, alhamdulillah, you know, it's part of the blessings that Allah has given us. So I think even that, you know, even cooking your family something special that they're really going to enjoy. And it's, you know, even that, it's an act of ibadah with the right intention. It's all ibadah, inshallah. So, you know, I guess I'm very sort of, I have a lot going on, really. I don't have any one particular thing at the moment.
So I've got a nice question here from Farhana Kudus. Thanks, Farhana. She says, Assalamu alaikum both. We all need resets across our lives. So we've called this Ramadan Reset, this whole series. What would be your single recommendation on resetting as Muslims that we should think about? Is there a single thing? I'll tell you what mine is. It's that wrestling with the nafs. I don't need to be to have what I want all the time. So actually sitting a little bit with hunger during the day. Today is a different day by the day. By the grace of Allah, after yesterday's struggle, I feel so calm today. I feel by the grace of Allah a sakina, because I've taken a step back and I said, all right, let's just really assess. And I really want to give these, you know, these sets of food to Syrian families, which everybody here can get involved with, to donate food baskets, waters and hygiene kits. We want to get at least 10 of those across today, inshallah. But to just sit with hunger and sit with thirst and think about that for a while. So that's my reset. What would yours be?
I think it's the same, Lauren. It definitely, I'll be honest, I find fasting really difficult. Fasting is something that, you know, outside Ramadan, it's a real challenge for me to fast. And it's funny because when I first became Muslim, I fasted so much. And that was partly because I sort of had to. I felt I had to anyway. You know, because I was a young man. I was, 25 years old, 22 or something. And, you know, the Prophet ﷺ, that's what he said to young men, you know, to keep your desires down, you recommended them to fast. So I fasted a lot. In fact, I fasted so much that I didn't find it hard at all. When Ramadan came, and at that time, Ramadan was like, as it was 2 months ago, it was like, you know, what was it, 18 hours here in UK, and I didn't feel anything at all. I wasn't even feeling hungry or thirsty. I was actually really worried. I kept thinking, I was asking my friends, am I doing something wrong? So I'm not feeling anything. Right? No, but to be honest, as I've got older, I found fasting much harder, and partly because, again, like, I don't. It's a long time since I remember fasting a whole Ramadan because of traveling and various other things. So,
are you a bit? Do you have some you know, some qualms about that? Like, because I'm the same, by the way. Last year was 15 days. The year before was about 16 days because we're traveling for dawah, for projects, and this is wonderful. I'm really excited. But even as a woman, we very rarely, we don't get a full month. So this is 30 days. We're actually going to do it, inshallah.
Yeah. Inshallah.
And that's going to be a great achievement.
Lauren,
I mean, that's going to be a great achievement.
If you have knowledge, I mean, not that I have knowledge, but like a little bit of knowledge, like, you know, people, the other thing is that, look, Islam is easy, you know, it really is easy. And this is part of the ease of Islam, you know, is that the Prophet, I mean, subhanAllah, the Prophet ordered people to break their fast. If they are traveling and they are in hardship, the Prophet said there is no blessing in fasting when you're traveling in hardship. No blessing in it. And he ordered some of his companions who were, when they were traveling and they were suffering, when they were fasting, he ordered them to break their fast, right? So, and the other thing is to remember that Allah loves that you take his allowances as much as Allah loves that you leave disobedience to him, right? So when Allah has allowed you, and Allah has given you some ease, and Allah has given you, you know, a scope to, okay, you don't need to fast when you're traveling. Wow. Allah loves that you take that, right? So subhanAllah, like, refusing to take it is like refusing the. some
Do you know
blessing
what?
from Allah that He loves you to take. So,
Do you know
like, if
what?
people, yeah. So why would
May
you
I,
feel
yeah.
bad? Why would you feel? No, you embrace it and enjoy it. You know, mashallah.
You've just given me an opening there by the grace of Allah. You've just made
Yeah.
me realize that I was starting to because I've come through the Asian community and spent a lot of time with them, mashallah, tabarakallah. And, as Hanafis are really, really strong on Taraweeh. So I started to think of that particular act of worship as something I had to do. And so therefore the joy had gone out of it. Whereas actually, what a blessing to do it as an option. I'm going to come to this tonight because I really want to, and I want that extra closeness. Oh, that was the feeling I'd forgotten. Oh, thank you. Oh, Jazakallah. That's amazing. Yeah, come to it, guys, with the as an exception. Knowing that it's extra and Allah loves it because it's extra, not because it's something that somebody's told you to do.
You don't have to pray Taraweeh. Like we said in the beginning, you may get stronger spiritual connection with Allah doing some other things, and like I said, that's what I've done for years and years. I've sat in studios and TV studios doing live appeals, missing Taraweeh, even Laylatul Qadr, But what was I doing on Laylatul Qadr? Inshallah, doing something better than just praying, alhamdulillah, praying is fantastic and praying is good. But helping the poor and the needy and the starving and helping to call people to Allah and helping to build masjids, alhamdulillah, that's also very, very good, subhanAllah. So, there's all different ways that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us to worship Him, inshallah. We should embrace them and be happy about that, inshallah. Whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us, an opportunity like that, inshallah.
And I think I'm just going to take a comment from Hannah Qadr here. 11 months in the dunya, and let this month be ours to the Almighty as worship and a gift. So it really is taking that month out. I don't know about you, but I feel, we still have tasks to do, right? So we might have something to produce this month, or we might have a deadline for next month. But somehow I'm already starting to feel that while those things matter, they don't matter in a way that's going to stress me out, because Allah is with us, because we're Muslims, because the dunya is not the stress in our lives. The akhirah is the stress if we don't do our best. Do you understand that feeling of being able to push things slightly away?
I do, but to go back to the sister, I don't remember her name, but you just mentioned her comment, right? I'm not trying to be argumentative or anything, but really, I think, again, the idea that we have 1 month for Allah and the other months are for the dunya is not how we should be thinking as Muslims, right? Why are we like that? Like, I don't look at my life like that. My life is for Allah. Right? Everything I do, not in Ramadan and outside the Ramadan. I don't just have 1 month for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I don't look at Ramadan as that particularly different from that perspective, inshallah. So, brothers and sisters, like this dunya, don't look at that the whole year is for dunya and the 1 month of Ramadan is for Allah. No, not at all, right? Because actually all your life, Kul inna salati wa nusuki wa mahya wa mamati lillahi rabbil alamin. Say that my prayer and my sacrifice and my life and my death is all for Allah, the Lord of the worlds. So you see, everything we do as Muslims, even the work we do, should be halal. And if it is halal and our intention is right, it becomes worship. The food we eat, even the activity, the relaxation, even when you play some sports, if you do that with the right intention, it becomes worship for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So I think this is how we need to be. We need to live constantly, inshallah, in a state of of worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's just that Ramadan turns the volume up. Ramadan sort of enhances it. Ramadan is a boost. That's how I look at it, right? You see, that's how I look at it. I look at Ramadan more as a boost rather than some completely different state than what I am normally. I don't look at Ramadan as that distinct from the rest of my year or my life. It's just an extra boost. It's like an energy shot. you know.
Yeah.
And it gives me that opportunity. So I'll read more Quran and say more prayers and try and do more things to, bring me closer to Allah in a specific sense, in the sense of those spiritual disciplines and those spiritual exercises.
Look, by
So
the
yeah,
grace of Allah, we've got a lot of people joining us, mashallah, on Facebook, and you're almost welcome. So as I've got the legendary Abdur Raheem Green here, my forebear as a British Muslim, mashallah, help us to encourage everybody here to donate or consider getting people together for to help Syrian refugees this Ramadan, specifically with what we're doing right now. So I'll just tell you exactly what we're doing, and that is there are refugees in the camps all across Turkey and just inside Syria. They haven't gone away. They haven't suddenly gone home. So I'm giving this as a reminder, brothers and sisters, that as we're looking at lockdown and maybe running out of things, and in the West, this is quite an unusual situation for this. Imagine the blessing of a family of 6 having 8 kilos of rice and 5 kilos of bulgur wheat and wheat flour and pasta and chickpeas and lentils. They're in a tent, but they know, the mother knows that, okay, Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil, thank you Allah, I can look at this and tomorrow I can boil this, and the next day, and she's planning in her mind, because that's how mothers are, and by the weekend I'll know that the little one still has milk. Well, we've got these packs, and they're £100 for a family of 6, and they supply a food basket, water, and also a hygiene kit. And I'm going to silence myself for a minute while the lovely Adhan goes on here. Can I pass over to you, perhaps Abdur Raheem Green, to talk to people about why it's so important, and to encourage to look at the links here and do what you can, inshallah.
Of course, Lauren, because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was so generous. He himself was so generous. He was so giving. And as the Prophet sallallahu, as the companions mentioned, that he was even, more generous in the month of Ramadan. So this is another example that Ramadan is not only just about, tarawih. It's not only about praying and reading Quran. These things, of course, are very, very important. But as we are suffering from, thirst, and as we are suffering also from hunger and things like that, then also, brothers and sisters, we need to think of those people who are less fortunate than us. That's very, very important to think about those people who, and I'm sure we do naturally. That's part of the benefit of Ramadan. Part of the benefit of Ramadan is that it creates within you a type of empathy. It gives you, because you are experiencing hunger, you are experiencing thirst, you are experiencing deprivation. You just can't eat any time that you feel like it. Like I was in the supermarket the other day, and I was walking around shopping and getting, some fruit juices, thinking, we'll enjoy that to break our fast. But in the, as I'm doing it, I actually forgot, and I put one of these cartons on the side, thinking I'll drink that when I, in the car. And it's only when I was pushing the trolley outside that it was like, wait a minute, it's Ramadan, I'm fasting, and I couldn't drink it. So, that's a classic example. We're used to just drinking and eating whenever we like. But, for some people, that's their everyday reality, is like every day is fasting for them. They can't eat and they can't drink just whenever they like. They can only eat and they can only drink when, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when they manage to get something. And like Luran was saying, most of us are used to having full cupboards in, at home, and very rarely we're running out of stuff. But Ramadan makes us realize, hopefully we should be thinking about those people who are less well off, and we should be thinking about those people who are less fortunate than us. And, not only in terms of materialistically, in terms of food and drink, but, also in terms of guidance. How many people, subhanAllah, don't know the truth, don't know what Islam is? So this is very important as well. Not only to feed the poor and to help the needy, but also to, guide those people who are not yet present the guidance to them, because that's it. Ramadan is the month of the Quran, and the Quran was revealed hudan linnas, guidance for human beings.
Thank you for that, brother. That's a beautiful reminder, mashallah. It's also important to note that although poverty comes with cleansing, and that Allah is merciful towards the poor, that it is also a test, that it's not an easy thing, that people can actually feel like they're going to leave Islam because they've been so poor for so long, and that when that food comes from Allah Ta'ala, from, as it says in the Holy Quran, from where they don't even know. So they didn't expect that food today, they're on their bellies and they're so hungry, and then suddenly, wow, this pack is for you. They know that's from Allah. And I have seen that actually being delivered, mashallah, tabarakallah. I have been to the refugee camps in Gaza, in Lebanon, and when people who have nothing get just a bottle of water and some food out of nowhere, the first thing they do, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar. And they know that we might, all of us who contribute, just be a little bit of that channel, but they know who is the provider. And so actually I remind myself that feeding people is also feeding them with positivity and with deen, and helping them to recognize that Allah is there. So what an amazing thing to be a part of. So brothers and sisters, it's £100 to donate a food basket, water and hygiene kit. If it's too much for you, you can get 10 people together, get on the phone, it's £10 each. And Harris Khan, who's on the timeline, he's got a link there. You just press the link and you can go straight there. And you could be delivering rice and bulgur wheat. And the other thing, brother, is the idea of hygiene, of being so poor that you don't have a toothbrush for your child, that you don't have nappies for your babies. I think sometimes we tend to think, okay, great, we've got people food and they can eat now. But then we forget that actually that thing of a mother just saying, I wish I could wash my hands in soap. You know what I've got here? I've got some homemade hand sanitizer. I've been doing my own healthy options here. But these hygiene kits, I know that you've got some experience delivering things like this. Tell us a little bit about hygiene for those who are in difficult conditions, Abdur Raheem Green. Brother, can you hear me? Seems to be having some problems with his settings there. Alhamdulillah, shukrullah. Brothers and sisters, if you've got any comments to make and you want to hear more about how to make the most out of Ramadan, what we're discussing today really is finding out about where is our good point, where is our sweet spot with Allah Ta'ala, where is the thing that we're good at? Because it might not be that we're fluent and blessed with the Quran. I'm not. My Quran is really slow, so I'm doing a bit of tajweed, and I do enjoy tajweed. But we were discussing tonight, for me, this year, maybe because I'm not with my daughter, Allah knows best, Taraweeh is just a real hardship. But I want us to be able to give to the poor right now. And that's where the beauty, that's why Ramadan is the month of giving. That's why the Muslims are more generous now than any other time of year. That's why when non-Muslims see us and they say, oh, you're just going hungry, they don't know about this level of giving. Can you hear me, brother?
Yeah, I don't know what happened, Lauren. I got cut off. I couldn't hear anything. So I just restarted and re-entered. So I think someone was trying to ring me, unfortunately. So it just cut everything off.
Fair enough. No worries. I was just actually talking a little bit about the hygiene kits, which are part of these £100 packs. And have you been to refugee camps before? I know you have, where it's really an honor to stay clean, and yet it's so hard. And so delivering like children's nappies and toothpaste and soap is so important. It's such a blessing being clean.
Absolutely. There's so many things, Lauren, that we take for granted, and that's just one of them. I mean, they're telling us, during this coronavirus, make sure you wash your hands, this and that. How many people in the world don't have soap? I remember when I was in Burundi, people were saying we don't have soap. The kids, their shirts were torn and had holes in. Little things that we just, You know, how we have piles and piles of clothes, and these kids wear their clothes and clothes literally fall off. SubhanAllah. So things like salt, you forget that for some people, salt is a luxury. It's a luxury. So how are they going to deal with coronavirus? How are they going to deal with things like this on a day-to-day life? It's SubhanAllah. You know, there's no doubt, Lauren, we're, you know, very blessed and probably very ungrateful.
Yeah, may Allah bless us. And look how we've all been brought really to our knees around the world now. And we're not going to call it lockdown. We're going to call it seclusion now, brothers and sisters, because we've been blessed with seclusion, and it's good for us. And we've been blessed to bring ourselves together tonight with wonderful brother Abdur Raheem Green. And, you know, do look at these wonderful kits, £100 each for a hygiene kit with water and food. And, you know, we're just talking about 2 toothbrushes, a bath sponge, you know, things like shampoo. When I was a kid, not many people know this, but I was kind of in a poor environment. We used to wash our hair with washing liquid. And, you know, my mum always used to go, oh, it's just the same thing anyway. Believe me, it's not. Your hair, like. So, you know, just being able to send something like shampoo or a razor. I mean, I can say that sometimes in the past, perhaps Sheikh Abdur Raheem Green, you didn't have a razor. No, when your beard, for a man, keeping the beard tidy is so important. So get these things to people who need them, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, not with a razor. Keep the beard, inshallah.
Keep the beard. Keep the beard, but keep it tidy, right? Keep it in shape. I see you shape it a bit now. You know, the brothers like to keep it in shape now.
Yeah, I always do, but I've let it grow a bit now. It's sort of, you know, ZZ Top look.
It's very impressive. It really is. Yeah, it's the hairy bikers look. MashaAllah, tabarakallah.
Yeah.
Muslims can carry it off. So, brothers and sisters, we're going to say a fond farewell to brother Abdur Raheem Green. You can find him on what's your website, brother, where you're giving advice about how to change your life?
I'm not sure. I think it's I can't remember.
Mastery classes.
Mastery classes. Yes, masteryclasses.com. I've got like a series of videos there, basically lessons on how to, you know, how to self-regulate, how to control your willpower, how to control yourself. Yeah, you know, control the ego, and build, you know, break down those bad habits and build new ones. So it's sort of combination of really research and psychology and spirituality. So I sort of bring the two things together. Psychology and spirituality, very useful in Ramadan. Really, what Ramadan is about is meditation. You know, breaking bad habits and building new ones. So it just comes at it from a unique angle, and I think a very useful one for some people. Inshallah. That's it.
Jazakallah. Well, I just subscribed tonight. Masteryclasses.com. We'll get Brother Harris to type it in there, and we'll see you again in Ramadan, inshallah. May Allah bless you and your family. Thank you. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum, brother. Ma'as-salama. So final shout out. Thanks very much to watan.org.uk for hosting me during Ramadan and giving me a chance to do what I love to do, which is to share with you great projects. I'm in Turkey now. I'll be visiting the project. So this is a great chance. You just click a button and £100 sends those food baskets and water and hygiene kits for a family of 6 in a tent on the Syria borders or inside Syria or just inside Turkey. Help them to feel the ni'mah of this blessed month and be part of Alhamdulillah, this holy month, inshallah ta'ala. You just click on the link that Brother Harris Khan is going to post, and Watan UK will make sure that as soon as possible, our brothers in Syria and our sisters in Syria and the children in Syria will be getting £100 worth and more of what you're sending over there, inshallah. And you know, this is the blessed month for charity. This is the blessed month of sharing everything that we have. And I realized tonight from this conversation, that's what it is about for me. So I'm going to go now, inshallah, and eat with my husband, have my iftar. Please remember me and my family, Watan UK, and all of those in need in your du'as. And I remember you. See you tomorrow, same time, inshallah ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.